Namibia's growing film industry is gaining recognition on the global stage, with local filmmakers and productions receiving acclaim for their unique storytelling and cultural authenticity. Jackson Vunganyi spoke to Namibian filmmaker Perivi Katjavivi about his film Under the Hanging Tree, his creative process and the power of storytelling in reclaiming history. Hello, Jackson.
Hello, Esther. Now, this groundbreaking film draws from Herero mythology and the symbolism of the Omumborombonga tree in local culture. Katjavivi tells me that the film was born out of the need to examine his country's historical legacy and its colonial past. Let's check it out.
Well, the film started as, I think, a desire to sort of look back and to try and make sense of some of our histories in Namibia, and to look at a difficult period, the colonial period, when Namibia was ruled by Germany, and we were under sort of German colonial rule, and the subsequent Herero genocide, which occurred between 1904 and 1908. My father's, let me get this right, my father's grandmother's sister was in that war and was injured and was shot and raised my father. She was really my dad's key maternal
That's the
figure.
Herero fighting against the German colonial...
That's right,
yeah.
That's right. So we grew up with those stories being passed down from her to my dad, to me and my siblings. So I'd always wanted to make a film that looked at that, but from our perspective of waking up to the past and making sense of it and digging and looking. So I just felt very early on I had to have a police officer at the center of this story, because detectives like to dig and kind of investigate and look and dig up the past in this kind of way. So it felt appropriate. So we developed it then initially as a TV series, then as a film, as a way to kind of, on the surface, you think as an audience you're walking into a film that has familiar genre tropes, and there's a noir or crime detective element. But then it becomes something very different. It becomes a film where somebody coined the phrase, you're trying to decolonize the form.
Decolonize the form?
Which we were trying to do in a way. So decolonizing film, partly with the form of it, so it doesn't...
You append the whole like linear or non-linear structure of the film.
Exactly. So you think you're watching something that is a traditional cop film, and then it becomes a bit of a slow film, and it becomes a bit experimental and artsy. But then there was, to center some of the early filmmakers from West Africa, like Suleiman Cisse, this idea of centering the traditions of the community and the rituals over narrative and plot. So there are times when you expect, again, sort of certain narrative and plot, tropes from Hollywood filmmaking, but instead you're watching somebody perform a ritual under a tree with fire.
Amunjidu. Ohuru tutu kumaya. No matu paha. Matu kotora. Ombintu. Jatika mehire tundu.
Namibian film or cinema is still emerging on the global stage. What would you say are some of the unique challenges, like filmmakers or storytellers like you still face, and some of the opportunities that are available for young filmmakers that are hoping to, to embark on this journey of storytelling?
Yeah, I think I'll be boring and say that the same old challenges apply, like funding, access to audiences, access to equipment, even in a sense, the sort of technology and gear. But it's never been easier, I think. It's all relative, of course, but just I really do have to just have a perspective here and remember there was a time when there were no films, no filmmakers.
Absolutely.
Now, we've had a submission to the Oscars. We've had Namibians with making films that have been on Netflix and Amazon Prime and other big streamers and international platforms. So things have changed dramatically from when I was a kid, if I was to remember. I think one of the biggest things is film language. We're still, what is an African film? Right? Even some of the old classics, there was pushback and criticism because many of the films would be edited in France ultimately, even if they were shot in Africa by Africans. So what does it mean for a film really to be called African? And in a global world as well, where we collaborate and co-productions are the rule of the game in the independent film industry for the most part. So what do you mean? Is it the money? Is it the identity of the filmmaker?
Or the story itself?
Is it the story itself, where it takes place, who's in it? Does it matter if I do my editing in Colombia or Sweden? Can it still be an African film? But more importantly, film language. What's an African film? Is it Nollywood? Is it the Nollywood aesthetic? What type of storytelling? Is it the commercial films coming out of South Africa that are all on Netflix? What is it? Is it an East African sensibility? West Africans taught us that film is linked to the griot tradition. We are memory, wisdom keepers. Or is it a commercial medium? Or is it an artistic thing? Can I just be artistic? So the exciting thing for me, I think, as a Namibian, is watching that conversation evolve, right? And we are not penned into anything. Namibian film could be anything.